Everyone to the April 3rd Hartland Selectboard meeting. First order of business would be the approval of the March 20th and March 27th minutes. I would entertain a motion to accept those minutes. So moved. And a second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Understand my own words. Maybe. Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, moving on to the orders of the council, the warrants and those transferable. So these are the invoices up to today, April 3rd. May I have a motion to accept those invoices up to April 3rd? So, and a second.
I'll second it.
And second. Thank you. Any discussion?
There's one question, furnace cleaning.
Yes,
So it looks like a bunch of buildings got done,
that's correct.
but it looks like, the library was in the choice.
We may have labeled it twice, but I believe it was only once.
There's two cleanings listed in the library.
It's listed twice, it's within month,
H4.
They're two different account numbers. I don't know what 03 is. I'd have to look that up. So 3703 and 3704 is two different buildings.
Yeah.
One's the North Hartland Library, that's what it is. 3703 is the North Hartland Library.
Well,
Not library, but the school, yes. You're welcome.
What is BTC watershed management administrative fees? It's on the last page, 77.
Yes, we pay that each year. It's for David always. Yes, so yes, we pay it every year. It goes to
An annual fee.
yes, and they always send us the bill 10 days before it's due.
Any other questions on all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Going on to adjustments to the agenda. I would like to add in the new business that we acknowledge the acting town manager. We have not done that publicly. Any other adjustments to the agenda? Tom?
This is two things related to, and this may be overly formal, but I think in light of things, it's good to be formal. One is Two Rivers out of Queechee would like to amend their contract for project management for the intersection. And it's just a change in the date. So initially the date was to expire on September 30th, 2023. And they would like to change the date of expiration to December 31st, 2024 due to delays in the project.
Okay.
And second, and I have and I can pass it. Sorry, I didn't make it available. There's a,
2024.
yes, that's what they want to do, December 2024.
Next year.
The next year. Yeah. Okay. I think they're just being overly cautious. It doesn't really have any impact on things.
Okay. So we'll do that after the state police dispatch.
And then the other thing was V-Trans asked us to send a letter confirming who was going to be our appointed municipal representative. And I believe this has already been done, but I think we should just affirm it that Martin will now be the municipal representative for the project, for the intersection project. And so if we could just ratify that.
Any other suggestions?
Thank you.
Okay. Going on to public comments, are there any public comments? Joyce,
I'm here today just to maybe
Joyce,
discuss.
we need to ask you to come up.
Sure. Sit here.
Yeah.
So, like,
we need
The
to sort of-
electrodes and the secret.
Tell us which name you're using today.
My name is Trace Tancredi. I live in Hartland, obviously. And I'm just here to take the opportunity to ask a few questions about our policing in the town, in the future of our policing in our town, and the different options that we have,
Mhm.
because I know there's some difficulties right now
Sure.
with state police issues. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because the information that I'm gonna regurgitate here is word of mouth. And I know that a lot of people use that as basis for their questions, but it's my understanding that the state police are down considerable numbers. I think they're supposed to have 300 troopers that do a myriad of different things, not just patrol, but, and I think because of retirement and because of payment that is a little higher in other states, the legalization of marijuana, they can't pass the state test to be a state trooper anymore if they have marijuana in their system. So, you got it legalized in one end, and then they can't get through that piece if someone new decides to be a state trooper and they've never taken drugs before, I guess is what I'm saying. So there is a series of reasoning behind the reduction of state troopers force, and I know that we're paying them to patrol our roads. And I think that number is about 60,000. Correct. So I'm assuming that we're gonna re-up that this year. Is a yearly contract with state police.
Let me, if I may interrupt you.
Sure, please.
Normally, we don't do it back and forth.
Right.
We do have an agenda item at the end of new business. Just this past week, both Martin and I have been in touch with our liaison with the Portland State Police to talk about those very things that you were mentioning, bringing up that they have not been able to meet the contract hours over the past year. Second, the select board is about to form a committee made up of select board members and community members to the definition of what we mean by safety and policing on Hartland. What is it that we need? And then have a townwide meeting to kind of review the same issue. And then the third step would be to step back and say, for based on that, what are our options? There are a lot out there. I don't see it as creating a Hartland police force, but there have been ideas of a regional solution, a hybrid solution with state police and something Windsor County Sheriff, and possibly looking at if there's cycles with the Windsor Police. So we're very aware of exactly what we're talking about,
Right.
which is important because times are changing. There's no question about that. So is that kind of help?
It does help, because you touched on a few options or ideas that I have also, but there's more. And if you have a committee that you're putting together, I would more than likely be able to help with that piece. And I'd like to be part of a solution, not a problem. So I would definitely help with that. Some other ideas, but so when and who do I talk to? Someone
you can stay in touch with me.
Okay.
And or Martin. And we'll publicly be talking about that in the next few meetings to kind of get it going.
Okay. That sounds good. So I come to the next meeting or just,
There's a bit of turmoil. these
I
days.
understand that. I'm also, I understand that 100%. Yeah. And
Okay.
I'm sorry about that issue.
Optimistically, yes.
Okay.
You know, the agendas are posted.
Yeah.
Online and again, you know, you can get my email online and
Okay.
we can chat.
All right. Well, that just pretty much ends
Okay,
every question I had. He answered it very well. I appreciate that.
Okay.
And, I'll be back in touch.
thank you
with
very
soon.
much, Chris. Any other public comments? Okay, let's go on to new business. In the transition of to our acting, actually the first item of business, okay. I'm reading number one and thinking of something else. Our first item would be to recognize Martin Dole as our acting town manager. Martin will continue to balance his roles, director of finance as well as that. So I would entertain a motion to make that move of appointing Martin as the acting town manager.
I'll make a motion to appoint Martin acting town manager.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Maybe clarify that Michelle's going to be doing more hard. So it doesn't seem like Martin should do.
Yeah, I was going to go into that a little bit later.
For discussion purposes.
Go ahead. Why don't you state that publicly?
So, just so it's clear to everyone, while Martin is doing two jobs, Michelle, who is the assistant, her hours are going to be increased to help to take over some of the load that Martin is doing. So we just want to make that clear to everybody that I didn't want anybody to think, oh, well, how come Martin do two jobs all of a sudden? That's the plan.
All in favor, say aye. Congratulations, I think.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your work. Yeah. Okay, going on to the committee and commission appointments. I expect that at the next meeting, we will finish the other commission and committee appointments. We had a little trouble getting records. So I apologize to the planning, the conservation, and the energy committee that we not on top of it. That's stated. We have two candidates for the recreation committee. What I would like to do is ask John to chat about what we have, ask for comments from Nancy or Joe, and then we will, in executive session, make the decision and make the appointment. Okay. John?
Good evening. So the Recreation Committee has not a set number, but a flexible number of open seats. We have currently been operating at 5 positions, but in years past has been as large as 10. So the applications were sent out and we received 2, Nancy Lewis and Joe Perrin, who are both here today. Both have great looking applications and a general interest in helping the recreation department. So they've read what the expectations are coming into this, and knowing that we meet quarterly, we're looking for help with special events and things like that as well. So I would gladly like to welcome both Nancy and Joe to be part of the Hartland Recreation Committee.
Are there any questions of either Joe or Nancy since they're both here?
Did everybody get to see their applications? I think those copies of them.
Yeah. Yeah, we have copies of.
Next thing,
I'm sorry, how many members do you currently have?
we currently have 5, this would give us 7. And then the next big discussion will be planning for Old Home Day, 4th of July, so that'll be coming up. We're always looking for people that wanna take charge of a specific activity or event on the 4th.
Joe, do you have any comments at all with the?
Nothing.
Okay. Nancy? Nothing, okay. Well, thank you both for the application and we'll give our feedback to Martin to talk with John and again, thank you for offering to help and serve the town.
Thank you.
Yeah. Going on, we have two businesses applying for liquor licenses. Skunk has 3 licenses and Mike has 1, if I understand correctly.
Sure, I can clarify. Brian Struffling, town
Please.
clerk. Yeah, so Skunk Hollow has 2 licenses and 1 outdoor consumption permit. And then Mike's store would have the 1 liquor license and a tobacco license. So just to bring Tom up to speed and to refresh the rest of the board's memory, the state has fairly recently gone to a online portal, so there are no longer paper applications for liquor licenses, catering permits, anything like that. So it all needs to go through this online portal. They're still, of course, working out some kinks, but the information that I shared with you for your packet is basically what I get on my end from the applicants or what the state application will generate when I download it. But outside of that, it's pretty straightforward. You know, especially with these 2 businesses, nothing has changed. And I guess for clarity again, unlike with the paper forms, you folks would actually have to physically sign that. That's no longer a step. We just need your approval. And then I go into the portal, mark that you have approved it. I can make a notation for the date of the select board meeting or the date of the approval. And then and I'll just also add that both of the businesses have paid their town portion of the fee. And there's a way that I can indicate that. And then essentially, once I do that, it moves to the state level and they will handle it from there and then issue the licenses to the applicants. So it's a little more streamlined. But as I mentioned, it's some kinks are still being worked out in terms of, you know, what documentation is generated, what needs to be put in the system. But yeah, if anybody has questions for me, I know one of our applicants is here. If you have questions for Sugarface and Co., i.e. Mike's store. But yeah, that's where.
Martin, just implied one of my questions. We have a business entity name and then we have a business name.
Location.
Right.
Who are we granting the permit to? In the case of Mike's Store Collectible, that's a location name, whereas the business is Sugarface.
Correct. Yep. They bought Mike's several years ago.
Right. I understand now. They just didn't.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yep.
Yep.
So the liquor license and the tobacco license would apply to that store.
Okay. Jim, you had a question?
No, I think
Okay.
discussion answered.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I know this. What's the difference between a first and second class license, hard liquor?
Oh, we got a hand. Go for it, Phil.
I spent some time in the office today asking that. First class is, I may have this backward, is the bar. And this third class is the actual physical serving at the table of the restaurant. It's not really the type of liquor.
No, no, it is the type of
Oh,
liquor.
it is a type of.
Yeah.
liquor. Okay. See,
Yeah.
you know, you just can't.
First class.
You gotta go back upstairs.
First class is beer and wine, third class is mixed drinks, liquor, essentially, and then
okay.
second class is the ability to sell beer and wine. So that's why,
Off-premise consumption.
right,
Second class.
right. And then in the Skunk Hollow's case, they have an outdoor consumption permit so that they can serve outside, behind the building, which is really nice. I'm glad that they did that. It's a really nice addition to the restaurant.
Okay.
Right, so I think we'll need motions, we'll need 4 motions, one for each of the.
All right, well, so there's your-
I think there's 5, I would say. 2 for Sugarface, i.e. Mike's Store, because you have the second class liquor license and the tobacco license. And then
Sorry, Bernie's tobacco license now.
it should have been, I emailed it to you folks.
Most of the change was tail in the meeting with state handles and tobacco, you know,
They do, but the town still needs to approve it.
Oh.
So we don't receive any fee, but we technically are supposed to approve it. We did approve a tobacco license for Three Corners Market, i.e. BG's, not too long ago, with their second class liquor license. So this is essentially the equivalent for Mike's Store, would be the 2.
Yeah, I don't know my glasses, but I don't see.
We didn't get to the back one.
Okay, apologies if somehow that did not get included in the packet, but I'm almost certain that I did send it to you folks the first time and then again, so it's straightforward.
What was the application for the tobacco?
It's for Sugarface.
No, I'm sorry. You have the business name and then you have an application for the first class restaurant bar license and for,
You mean the name of the document?
yeah,
That I
what are we
sent?
approving? The name, yeah, can we just say tobacco?
Yeah, it's a tobacco license.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we can just have one motion to approve both the tobacco and the second class license.
I'll make a motion to approve second class liquor license and a tobacco license for Mike's Store Collectibles.
For Sugarface.
I think you want the location there, right, not the parent company.
I assume it wouldn't hurt to say both, but I would definitely say Mike's because, you know, Sugarface and Co. is the business entity that owns multiple stores. I would think you would want to identify the specific store that those licenses apply to.
Right, so I'll leave a motion on that.
Unamended or, so,
The motion is to approve the second class liquor license and a tobacco license for Mike's Store Collectibles.
okay, is there a second? Randy seconds, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. May I have a second motion?
I'll make a second motion to approve the first class restaurant bar license. This gonna call. I'm just gonna call it Tavern.
Do you want to do all 3?
I don't think we have to more of them. That's how it is. There's one motion per license.
Okay.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I'll make a motion to approve a third class restaurant bar license for Skunk Tavern.
Is there a second?
I'll say,
All in favor of the third class restaurant? Say aye.
I'll make a motion to approve an outside consumption permit for Skunk Tavern.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye. Great, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, board.
Okay.
Thank you, Martin. I will handle things on my end.
We should, as an addition to.
These are thereafter.
Okay, let's move on to, we have a audit engagement package in our package that Martin sent out. I'll let Martin step through this if you want to.
So, budget, Jen's gonna do our audit again this year, except this year, they're adding another week of audit in April for the sub-recipient audit. Since the ARPA funds are over $750,000, we have to have a special audit for federal funds or grant money that's coming. So she will be in the month of April to do the sub-recipient audit. She'll be back in July to start our regular general fund audit, and then she'll be back in September to wrap up the numbers and then get it to us for October. So I expect her in 3 times this year. It's rare. This is the first recipient audit I've been through. I've read up on it. It's pretty straightforward. We only pretty much have the ARPA funds and 2 other small grants, so it'll be a fairly simple part of the audit. And then the other is what usually we have every year. So I just need Phil, if you would sign the governance. So we budgeted $18,000. Last year cost us $17,000.
You know, with the new sub-recipient audit and all that.
Yep.
That's an extra 1,000 or.
I don't know.
Keeping it at.
I don't know what they're gonna do with how that's gonna work.
There's a number in the,
Sorry?
there's a number in the packet.
Oh, yes, that's right, you're right.
Gonna do it, it's 22,000.
Yes, yes. That sounds right.
So sub-recipient audit, just because you got 750,000, but it's actually not going to trigger a single audit because you really haven't spent the money yet.
Correct, that's correct. I still have to have it audited because we received over, well, we have spent the money. We used it towards payroll this year.
Right.
Oh,
We
okay.
spent the money on payroll this year. So we have spent the ARPA funds.
So the ARPA funds by the town are used for payroll?
Yes, we
This was
approved it.
a supplemental salary increase in recognition of the COVID period.
Well, there's a terminology for this, but it's to offset. I have to go back and
We have to offset the,
So we made a motion meetings ago to apply the ARPA funds to our operational expenses. A line item that made most sense to apply it to was payroll. So we're using this money, we've used 750,000 so far, we're gonna use another chunk by the end of the year. There'll be a surplus in the general fund at the end of the year, right? Which is basically the ARPA fund that will then have available to use for other things that will.
for the engineering of Damon Hall, engineering of the rec department.
So there's correct terminology to describe it as we get. There's other advisement, I think.
Yeah, from, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to December 31st, 2026 to spend the money. Correct. Or you're gonna give it back. And with the way projects are taking longer than usually we went with this route. So we'll have a surplus in the general fund at the end of the year.
And
It's as long as we're not, it doesn't lower our taxes because of that. That's an inappropriate.
No, it does not.
Yeah, no, it's underdrives.
Yes, yep, yep,
so the letter says not to exceed 22,000.
right. Right, and we have $18,000 budgeted.
And there's 9 pages of everything I want to.
Yes.
So Martin, do we need,
I just need,
motions, one for the Love Coating Company?
well, it's gonna be them that does it. Mudget's the one that's gonna do both, two of both of them.
I make a motion to engage Margaret and Jeanette to do a right. That's what we need.
1 second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you. At
a recent meeting, we heard of the technical challenges that were, our committees and commission members were having when they were using the Microsoft Teams video, virtual video. And we would like to tonight go forward with a Zoom account for the town. And Martin, you can fill us in a little bit or not.
So we discussed about getting a Zoom account for the committees and commissions. So they have one Zoom account, one login, one password, everybody uses it. I was talking with Chico tonight, and Jam is thinking of getting that for each of their towns. So I asked him, I said, well, how would you like to split the cost with Jam? So he's gonna talk to his boss. I'm looking at getting the Business Plus. It has a bigger memory, so we don't have to worry about deleting the meetings every other week because it's too full. So there's more memory in it. It's $250 for the year. Chico's gonna talk to his boss to see if they wanna move forward. And I'm in hopes that that happens and we can pay half. We'll pay 125, they'll pay 125. If that doesn't go forward, I would like us to open up a Business Plus Zoom. And the committees and commissions can handle the plan themselves. There's no reason for us to do it here ourselves. We'll let them take care of it.
That would be available for other town uses.
Absolutely. The library wants to use it. The rec center, absolutely.
Is there, the cost is the same?
Yes, it's $250. That's correct.
And,
Up to 300, you can have 300 attendees, so we don't have to worry about going over the attendees. 30 hours per meeting up to 30 hours, would be a long meeting
For me or for the amount of
for a meeting.
for me,
For a
30
meeting.
hours?
Yes. And this has the most memory, so that way we don't have to worry about the meeting dropping because there's not enough memory from the meeting.
How would it be managed for, like, if a couple of committees are using it and they inadvertently schedule on the same
They can't do that.
day?
Can't do it.
Well, I get that they can't,
Oh,
but
right.
how are we gonna avoid it?
They're gonna have to communicate with each other,
Okay,
but all meetings are warned anyways. They're just gonna have to keep in good they can have it on the same day, just different times. 1 at 5, 1 at 7.
right.
Also, Zoom has a calendar.
That's where I was going with it. Is there a calendar so that if you want, if you send out a link for that?
Yeah, through
date
work, we
and
have
time?
something similar.
Okay,
And what people do is they know every Tuesday, the first of the month, they have a meeting. They put
so
their
it's pretty
meetings
cool for that.
in the Zoom thing, because it is a first come, first serve. And the other thing that is, can be a little bit different, if you go over your time, say you schedule 6 to 7, somebody else has a meeting at 7, you're gonna get bumped right off. That happens.
So it's gonna be a communication between the commissions and committees.
so let me just ask a question. Is there any, statutory requirement to keep recording of meetings? Or, so we don't have to worry about how much?
No, because Chico says he has to delete, every third meeting, he has to delete our meeting, but we have minutes anyways.
Okay.
So my only concern with sharing with Jan is what Mandy brought up, is whether it would create conflict
All right,
with them.
if they have something.
If
Well, it's
they-
supposed to be only Hartland account. It's only a Hartland account. They wouldn't share it with any other towns.
That would just be so.
Right, no, that's it.
So I'd like to make a motion that we allow Martin to set up the account and that we set it up as quickly as possible and let Martin work out whether we're sharing it with Jan or not,
Second,
instead of waiting weeks to.
Yeah, absolutely.
so second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Hope it works out well.
We all appreciate that.
Okay.
And this will be for any committee.
Any committee, if the library wants to use it or the rec center wants to use it. Absolutely.
Okay.
I just want to make, if it does become problematic, we may want to have a priority list of.
Yes,
There may
absolutely.
be some.
Yeah, I mean, if we have to get involved, we'll get
If
involved.
they want to start, knock off the conservation commission or the application,
Right.
but, yeah, it's 3 people that want to use
Yeah,
it.
if we run into a problem, absolutely. No, we'll definitely.
Are you in conflict with the planning commission? I thought you both.
Well, we have a semi-regular meeting of the chairs of energy and planning and conservation.
Okay.
Yeah, so we talk to each other and I will let them know
Okay,
this stuff.
okay.
Thank you, Rob.
Okay. Going on to the North Hartland School rental. In the past week or two, the town resident has approached the town to ask about renting the North Hartland School. Martin, Rich.
This is Rich Thorburn. We would like to rent the property.
Thanks for having me tonight. I'm Rich Thorburn. I'm a carpenter out of Woodstock, Vermont. And I've been looking for a shop the last 2 months. Right now I'm renting a shop out of Ely. And the gentleman who owns that property is selling it. So I've been looking to rent or buy. And my brother is a resident here in Hartland, and he mentioned that the school was vacant and there was nothing being done to it. He showed me the property. It will work for me. I've seen it twice. So I'm here to see if you guys would approve me renting the facility.
Martin, do you want to discuss who kind of walked?
Yes, yes, we had a walkthrough. He would have to up the electricity to 200 amp. Yep. He'd have an electrician do it, so it's done properly. The heat and electricity will be on his onus. He'll be in charge of that. He will have COI insurance for him. He has a subcontractor that's there also that will have COI insurance.
What is COI?
Yep, they'll be fully insured. Obviously, we insure the building. That doesn't change. He will have normal business hours, roughly 7 to 5, 7 to 6. He has one piece of equipment that might be very noisy, but he said he would keep track and make sure that it doesn't.
What is that specifically?
So I have a 20-inch planer. That probably makes the most noise. I have a molding machine that is pretty quiet. And then I have small power tools. We might bring in a lathe and we might bring in a shaper, but those are typical, typical woodworking shop.
Yeah, he would like to remove the carpet downstairs. Take the smoke detectors and change them to heat detectors because the sawdust will wreck the smoke detectors. So you'd have heat detectors instead. I believe that pretty much covers.
Well, I'll take care of the plowing.
Yep, that's right, the plowing.
I'd like to bring in some stone to upgrade the driveway a little bit. I'll cover that too. I'll take care of any mowing in the area around the building. I won't take care of the field or the tennis court area, but we can come to an agreement of what you want me to keep mowed. And
The boundaries are.
yeah. I will have to have the ability to park 2 work trailers on site. But other than that, that's the only thing that'll be outside. I'll keep my ladders and pump jack system off site.
Okay. When you say work trailers, are those 30-foot trailers or smaller box?
One's an 8 by 12 trailer, and then one's a 12 by 8 flatbed trailer.
Good. And when I chatted with Martin about this, I had asked that we have our fire chief or an appointed person do an inspection once you have your rampers up to speed and the various detection devices will be. We would be in agreement to that.
Oh, yeah. And I'll take care of the cost of upgrading the service.
Okay.
I'll put in a new meter socket, 200 amp feed, and then we'll upgrade the panel. And we'll take out all of the fuse box. We'll take that out and we'll put a new panel in.
There had been some concern that I heard through Martin that you, because of the size of the things you're making, you made need to sort of change an entry exit. Sort of,
Yeah, so the only modification that I would want to do, well, there's a few. So I would want to do the service to 200 amp. I might want to put a double French door in the back to allow me to bring in larger projects, work on those. For the most part, the existing entrances will work fine.
Okay.
So at this present time, I probably wouldn't do that, but I would like the option to do that. I told you I'd upgrade the driveway. Yeah, those are the only things that I would want to change.
So is it the whole building?
Yes.
They'll use the entire footprint?
Yep.
It's about 1,000 square feet.
Are you gonna be doing any spraying inside the building?
I'm sorry.
Are you gonna be spraying inside the building? Clapboards, paints?
Probably would not spray, but we would do painting downstairs, yes.
I was just worried about overspray.
Oh, I'm sorry, then I would also put in an exhaust fan. And if we did any spraying down or any painting downstairs, I would put it, so I put an exhaust fan upstairs and downstairs.
I was just wondering, the water will stay on us? Because there's water, the water.
That's right, yeah, no.
No, I'll take care of all.
Yeah, we did this the water, yeah. Yes, yeah.
So electricity is
Electricity, heat, and water, all utilities, yes.
Heat.
Yes.
I have a question. When you talk about normal business hours, just for clarification, it's Monday through Friday?
Well,
8 to 5 is kind of what I think, but I heard some other, just, you know.
I mean, if I'm renting the space, I'd like to be able to utilize it. I'm not having the public come into the space. It'll be myself and my subcontractor. And we would possibly need to work on a weekend, and we possibly could work into the evening. But I would take care of, the things that would make noise, that would interfere with the neighbors. You wouldn't hear it.
Okay.
It would be inside the building.
That's kind of where I was going.
Yeah. So I can't say that I wouldn't go outside business hours.
Right, but the noise for the
noise
people that are in the
yeah.
area. Okay.
All right, Andrea, you had a comment?
Just a question. So would there be any hazardous materials at all involved in the work on the premises? And would there be a dust collection installed?
I do have a dust collector.
Okay.
And yes, that would be, but everybody has to understand that I'm a carpenter, and it doesn't matter have you a dust collector or not, you're still gonna make dust. That's why I would put in an exhaust fan. That would help. We would use the dust collection system. But I can't say there would never be dust.
It's carpenter shop.
Yeah.
And the hazardous materials, you just handle that appropriately, because you're gonna have some, right? I mean.
Time.
So the only hazardous material that I would foresee on the property might be epoxy and oil-based paint. Other than that, nothing else.
Okay.
Unless you're right.
I'm sorry. Stacy?
Yeah, so, first as a comment, it'd be great to see the building be utilized, as it hasn't been utilized in a while, so just a preface. Two things, one, just as an awareness for the, board, remembering that if you rent it out, now it will become a taxable building and you will pay tax on it. Currently it is tax exempt. So just to keep that in mind. Second, as a resident of North Hartland with children that have played in that park, I would just kind of ask the select board what you're going to do to kind of, kids go right up to the building, they sit against it, they play around it, they play in the driveway, they ride their bikes around the driveway right now. So there's this thought that the whole park kind of belongs to them. So I'm wondering what you're going to kind of do. Obviously it's a business, you'd want to be able to go in and out, you're not going to want kids going right up to it. So you might want to consider whether you're going to kind of create a designate a space around it in the driveway, create a barrier or a fencing or something, as well as reaching out to the community and letting North Heartland be aware of this going on, because kids go there without parents too. You know, we often send, yeah, go ahead and go up and play corner park, kind of call it. So my concern would be wanting to make sure that the kids aren't doing things they ought not to somebody's business and business area where they're doing business. And likewise, you know, kids not paying attention to vehicles going in and out of an area where they're not supposed to be. So just thinking that there really needs to be some thought about how you're going to kind of truly designate and separate that area, and maybe draw a distinct line of property that not only the building, but land that he might be renting.
Okay.
So,
Good, thank you.
Stacy, any ballpark of what the yearly taxes would be?
I'd have to look at what the assessment is. Currently, because it is a tax exempt building, we assess it at, so well, that's the other piece. We assess it at insurance replacement cost, which for most buildings is replacement cost new, but not all town buildings. We'd actually probably want to go in and do an appraisal, an assessment on the building as it was once it, you know, rather than going off of that, because if it is, you know, as replacement cost new, is going to be a very different assessment than if you're looking at it as it currently stands.
So it'd be subject to school taxes as well.
Yes, I believe it would be subject to both school and municipal tax.
Has to be school.
You could exempt the municipal piece if you so chose, but it will be subject to education tax, yes.
What's the projected monthly?
Well, I was thinking around $550.
So I could probably crunch those numbers for you, give you a rough ballpark idea based on what's there.
Sure.
Understand that would be an estimate, and we could get that back to you to give you an idea of.
We're paying roughly $4,400 on the cooperative school at the Four Corners.
Okay.
It's much to pay for
It's obviously.
Yes, absolutely, yeah, yes, 3 times the size, yes.
I'm thinking, since this is really a discussion tonight, we asked Martin to proceed to draw up a contract that's agreeable to both parties, and then we can make a final approval once we review the contract.
I think that's fine. I'd also suggest, you know, which might benefit me more than you, a sidewalk to understand, you know, some of the concerns that Stacy brought up, Andrew brought up.
Sure. I've got you up.
And, yeah, I think we need to know the tax number, to see, you know, see how much benefit there is to the town to run this.
Sure. Good points. Yeah, we have other activity going on there this year with the tennis courts or the fence or something.
I think we're gonna redo the tennis courts, or we redid them last year, I think, so, yeah.
I think the other number that would help is what's the liability side? How much do we pay annually for utilities? and-
$2,325. That's keeping it at 50 degrees. That doesn't include the water is 65 a quarter, so it's 260 more for the water.
So there's another number, understand the tax number, current liability and the revenue.
And I'm just wondering from a neighborly thing, maybe should you be going forward as the and setting up your shop there, that maybe there would be a day or two for an open house for the neighborhood so that people actually saw what you had without introducing any liability of someone coming around and turning on your planer or your router.
Yeah, what would the town do to, would the town be willing to put up that fence that's being suggested?
I don't know.
Then we gotta look through and brainstorm.
Yeah.
I'd like to see this.
Yeah.
Toss to for electric fence.
That doesn't necessarily stop them, kids, let me tell you.
They don't try to touch it.
I would say about the finger.
I mean, if I rent the space, I plan to put cameras on so that I can watch the property accordingly.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was still a lot of activity in the playground. That might create a problem for me. So I guess I have to think about that portion of it,
Yeah,
because
Yeah.
without a dividing line,
I actually don't have numbers to go with you to say how many people per week are using the areas.
It really depends on the time, obviously.
Yeah.
But kids do slide there and we're too.
So,
Okay,
so we each got some homework to do.
can we answer any additional questions for you tonight?
no, I mean, I think I've gone over everything that I'm willing to do. The rent is, I can do the rent and cover all of the utilities, cover the plowing and do the things that I'm willing to do on, my dime. So.
Okay. The last question I have is, what is the line of business you're in? Is it cabinets or is it just anything that is
I
custom?
do cabinets, I do restoration work. This past winter, we did some built-ins in the shop that we did. I'm doing some restoration work for a lady in Windsor. We're gonna do some handrails with my molding machine, so I can do custom molding.
Yeah.
I do bathroom remodels, things of that nature. But things that I would be doing in the shop that are require space and heat. And the ability to set up all my tools.
Okay, great, thank you. Are we all set?
Yeah, that's all.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
The next agenda item has to do with police dispatch. This one. Appointment of warrant signers. Martin, I look to you.
Yes, so we need 2 warrant signers. Obviously, it's a conflict of interest if I sign them. Bill is 1 signature. We need 1 other person to come in on Monday, Tuesday. For a 2nd signature on the opposite week.
Next year, I'm happy to do
Yeah,
that.
we do get, all right.
Okay.
Motion that Mandy be our second warrant signer in addition to the chair.
Yeah, I think my name should be there.
So they can have dispatch to.
You're already on.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a second? Second. Okay, all in favor of having Mandy be the additional warrant signer? Say aye. Aye. Okay, Constable, you're on. It was brought to our attention within the last week that the Vermont State Police are moving from the analog age to the digital age, and as a result, our town has to respond by having digital pause there or else.
So a couple of weeks ago, I got an email from the Vermont State Police Lieutenant telling me that as of April 26th, they're going to their new digital network, which leaves everybody that they dispatch to kind of high and dry. If they don't already have digital radios, they need to start scrambling to find some, which aren't readily available. They're a couple of months out. We are one of those people. Radios that I have are 13 years old and they're not digital capable. So as you saw by the quote, they're expensive. They're not sold as a kit. Every little piece and part is an extra.
Excuse me, there was, by the time we get this, the package is kind of $14,500
For single.
for a single radio.
For a mobile 100-watt radio and a portable. What this does do for us in the very near future, I don't know how near, Vermont State Police is going to be shedding all their non-state entities. They no longer want to dispatch for people that aren't state. So that's going to force us to
look at either Hartford or Woodstock, are going to be the two most logical ones. And they're already digital. So we'll be one step ahead of the game when you get ready to do that. But in the meantime, we've got this ball that they dropped in our lap and we need to do something with it.
James, what do you do in the meantime? If this is gonna take a couple months out?
So I have talked with a constable friend who has a radio that he just took out of his vehicle. He just upgraded his radios. That is digital capable, and he's happy to let me borrow it short term. The only thing we have to do is send it up to Burlington and get it reprogrammed.
What about portable now?
Portable, we're left high and dry. I'm not excited about it, but that's what we've been dealt with. You know, I don't have a good answer for you on that one.
Do our fire, and that makes me super uncomfortable, like if you're on a motor vehicle stop.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Do our fire, are the fire portables?
Fire
an option?
department,
Even
fire
like-
department is still analog.
They're still there. How are they? Community, oh,
They
because
have a
we're
repeater,
Peter.
yes.
We're Peter, okay.
There were a couple of things just mentioned. One was the newness, even though this is, I'm sure this was coming for a while, but we just finally know it's here. The second, the lead time, you just can't run out tomorrow and pick this up. I did look at the initial quote, and one of the things I mentioned to you is there are 2 or 3 pages of just add-ons, and I found myself very uncertain as to what I was looking at. It was 200 here, 300 here, another 200 pages of that. Can you help clarify what it is?
So the quote is, as you said, it's several pages. And it's a quote for 2 radios. The first half is the mobile radio, the second half is the portable radio. These digital radios, it's a base price for the radio. And depending on what you need for features, whether you want it to be a dual band, whether you've got voters that you got to deal with, like state police have, all that is put into the radio with software packages. And every one of those software packages are an extra line item. But you know, like I said, it doesn't come as a package. So you're paying extra for the speaker, you're paying extra for the control head. It's all piecemealed out, unfortunately. And you can't use the radio without all these things, but they break it all down.
Okay. Dave?
Yeah, I don't have my county budget in front of me. As you folks may know, by statute, we are partially responsible to fund the sheriff's department. It's not a lot. We might have something in there in a contingency under radio and equipment. I think there is, again, off the top of my head, I don't know how much it is. I'm going to the office tomorrow. I'll try and check that out. And if you're the interim person or you're the one that's going to be in contact, I'll make sure that the deputy has that figure. I personally am very safety conscious, not only for the officers, having been one myself, but for citizens, as I am one currently. So we will do the best. I don't see a problem. It's not Heartland centric because the sheriff's department and the state police service the entire county. So what I'm saying is maybe. In terms of financial assistance, that's the best I can say.
Yeah, well, I think anything that could come out of the would be appreciated.
See, unfortunately, the current administration has to work with the last administration's budget. We're trying as an association to get that to change, to say when a new sheriff, new assistant judges come in, that they can create their own budget. Right now, it exists in the old MO. on a fairly timely basis, I'll try and again, present the information and see that you folks get it.
Okay. Questions?
No, I was going to motion.
Motion.
I'm going to make a motion that we have the town manager work with our constable to come up with an appropriate price and to start to purchase this radio, given the timeline we're at.
Is there, I'll second. Okay, all in favor?
This is just a discussion, that, I have no idea, but is there any grant money out there for stuff like that? I feel like the fire department got grant money to upgrade their radios.
Problem we have in all of this is time. We apply for a grant, we may get it, but it takes a months.
In terms of how grants work, can you buy now and apply later?
Can I ask one question? I'm sorry. Is this for the sheriff's department or for you as counsel?
Constable.
I have to then withdraw my,
Right.
I'm sorry.
Oh, so you're taking the money away now.
Easy come, easy go.
Janice, does the sheriff's department, is your portable for the sheriff's something that you could utilize just in the interim? Just thinking,
I
not as a
I
forever.
can broach that. I can certainly ask the sheriff how he feels about that. I mean, the portable that we have, I believe are digital capable.
So it might be in the meantime, while we're waiting for this.
I can certainly ask him. I'm not sure how sensitive he's going to be to that, knowing that he wants the Hartland contract. But yeah, I mean, I can certainly ask.
Just as a safety.
Worst he can say is no.
Yeah, precisely.
And how long does it take to get one of these babies?
They told me months.
And are there multiple vendors, or is it really kind of a
It's
business we'll get into? And,
the people I went to is the radio vendor, same radio vendor that I have used, and same one the fire department uses. I have asked if it makes if I can get it faster if I go to another vendor, and the answer I get is you're just a number in line.
Okay.
But we must not be the only town with this problem.
We're not the only town with the problem.
So is there any
So I mean,
pushback? Is that-
so I mean, for example, so like, I mean, people that are gonna be affected with this are gonna be Weathersfield PD, South Royalton PD, but both of those are gonna be going to Hartford within the year anyway.
Right.
And since they are an actual PD, chances are their radios are probably reasonably up to date, that, so it will take that digital conversion. And if it's not, they're gonna have to upgrade anyway, just to go to Hartford.
So no matter what we do, we have to go digital.
Yes, yeah, it's coming in the future. It's just a question of when.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we're talking about this. Okay, there's a motion for.
But given the size of it, it'd be good to see if you can get some other quotes. Even though everybody's doing it for $14,000, I think we should at least get 1, 2, 3 quotes.
Yeah, I just,
Based on whatever that
comes to mind is
the single source that I don't want to come.
where the state police get in there. Whatever it is. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Okay, thank you. I'd like to stay on the roster piece for one moment as an update. We will, Martin and I will be meeting with the State Police Representative out of Bethel Barracks. He contacted ourselves in the last week or two to talk about the transition that they're in the upcoming contract, which is due in July. So I'm looking forward to having a meeting to both explore and hear what they're saying, as well as gather any sort of nuggets of information that we can use in terms of our committee work and so on. So that's coming up possibly a week from next Wednesday or something like that. Okay, then let's move on to the additional.
Is there any chance that they might decline another contract?
I did not hear that. I spoke with him during the week and, he was a bit guarded, but he was certainly not saying, I'm not coming to talk with you. Yeah.
So full disclosure is, through my day job, I tried to set up a regional police department with 4 towns in this area. And it takes a considerable amount of time. My concern is if the state police tells us that they're no longer going to be providing us with service, I appreciate what you're going to try to do with the committee structure. We may want to do something on an interim basis for a year and not go through all the public process and so on, if we're not going to have any police service. Or if the police service is going to be absolutely minimal.
Sure.
So I just want to be on the record saying, we're going to bring that.
No, that's a very good option.
That's all I.
I would agree. Yeah, there might be reasons why we have to accelerate this and bypass.
Or just have it for 1 year and have the process continue, and then we can say, thanks, but no thanks, but.
Yeah, and I've stated publicly, I'm very anxious to understand what Hartland means by safety and policing. Rather than just going in, I have a contract from whatever Ryan Palmer's title is. Sure. It's for another town, which he didn't even take the time to kind of change. So I am looking, and I certainly want to hear more about regional. I just heard a reference to regional, a different region. So it's a big item that we can't afford to skip, and I'm ready to put it on the agenda real soon to get going.
So in my research and doing this regional policing, we are the only town with our population that does not have a police department.
Yeah, my research showed the same thing, Tom.
Not that we have to have our own police department, but it doesn't have some type of contract where we have at least 40 hours a week of service or whatever. So
Is
I
it
think
2,500 or more? Is that in statute?
it's not statute. It was.
Well, at one time they were looking, I was.
Yeah,
I asked
that was last year in the legislature, and that thing go over.
Yeah. Any other comments on the non-agenda item?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's, I purposely wanted us to make sure we touch base on this because it is very big, and we would not be doing our job should we be caught without policing come July 1st. So I'm aware of that. I want to make sure that we're on top of it. Okay. Tom, can you lead us to quickly note management, Two Rivers.
Where is that, the next town manager update, man?
Oh, no, this is new business.
Oh, new business, so that, did it get passed around?
No, I'll give it back to you.
Okay.
I've already, those are the documents.
These are the documents, so one of the documents is, as I said earlier, Two Rivers had a contract with the town to do the project management. They were asking, given that the project is getting a later start than anticipated, that they would like to amend their contract to extend it to December 31st. This is a fairly typical thing that happens just because the construction over doesn't necessarily mean that their part of it is over. They still got to finalize things and so on. The other issue was our municipal representative on this project. So formerly it was with Dave. So while Dave is on leave, it probably makes sense to have the acting town manager be our representative
For V-Trans.
for V-Trans.
Correct.
It's just for the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Three corners.
yes.
Yes.
But should we ask for
So I don't know if you normally ratify contracts or not, under duty, so I don't know. Or you just doesn't
So
matter.
let me understand. Look, is this an additional 30,000
Saying
cost?
unchanged.
unchanged?
Unchanged.
Well, the change is the date.
The wording of the title of the person with that signature is incorrect.
Okay.
Okay, we'll change that and resubmit it.
No, okay. Take that out.
Both documents.
Acting, okay, both documents acting? Okay, I'll re-email them to Rita.
I'm not on top of the game of do we actually need a motion or whether.
Right,
I, just a public discussion of it.
we're just a public acknowledgement.
Yeah, I mean, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, I believe town manager is responsible for contracts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we should be.
It's fitting, okay. Okay, town manager, okay.
All right. 3/4 intersection. They had a big kickoff meeting on this past Tuesday, right downstairs here. We had V-Trans, Green Mountain Power, Two Rivers, Audit Regional Commission, Knott's Excavating, GPI, VHB, VTEL, and Comcast. Rita from Two Rivers will be our contact person going forward. If anybody has any questions, has any concerns, said she'd be glad to be the front person. You can send her emails.
They have a start date, Mark?
They did not pick a start date yet that I know of, but it's gonna be sooner versus later. They're hoping, maybe the end of May or the end of June. I'm not sure which.
This maybe isn't a question that can be answered now, but I assume that we're gonna have some type of communication plan for the town around traffic patterns and all that.
So they will have a weekly meeting, before this kicks off, and then as it's going, they will have a weekly meeting to make sure everything is going the way it's supposed to, so the vendors and everybody will be there to make sure it's heading the way it's supposed to.
I'm thinking more about public.
Yeah,
face
so
communication.
there's gonna be a meeting of all the butters. And then after that meeting takes place, there'll be a general public meeting, just describing what's going on, detours, all that type of stuff. So,
Tom had mentioned to me also the school would be involved with the school buses to make sure that there's no conflict in the.
Because I think there's a couple bus stops out here for high
Yes,
schools.
that's correct.
Correct, I mean, we'd have to have some type of weekly communication to the residents.
I don't know when we're gonna do this. So the plan is that Rita was going to send Martin, and I think there may be one representative from the board on it. They'll give us the meeting notes, and we'll basically transcribe them into a shorter form and provide it to the select board, to all the members, and also to put it on our website. And so that's weekly.
I mean, we can cover some of that, but I think website's great, listserv, probably necessary.
Whatever you do for media,
Newspaper.
yeah, whatever we do for, so we get people get used to going to the website and look at things, but right now, they're still working with all the utilities. And so we'll totally get that, taken care of. We just don't know when the start is. And just full disclosure, so I work with Two Rivers a lot and I do this kind of stuff a lot. So I just called Rita last week, after our meeting and said what was going on. And so,
Yeah, Tom and I had talked about this, and as co-chair, I asked him to please check in with Rita.
Yeah.
So that- any suggestions people have as far as what we should do? Because it's going to be disruptive.
Right.
That's-
One of the major things is keeping through traffic and the covered bridge.
So, and one of those things is who's ever doing traffic control, those types of things Clyde maybe need to be brought to their attention. Because generally, traffic control is usually just around the construction area, and it may not go down that far. So maybe we need to put a sign up saying not through the street. You know, the school may not want to see an increase in traffic going by the school, because, you know, there's things like this. The constable's here, I mean, maybe James has some ideas, but,
The biggest issue there is the bridge integrity. It's already,
so,
buckling under its own deadload.
but it's just great.
Yeah, I'm aware, and I will carry some of these things forward. I attended a meeting during the Route 5 Overload Brook Bridge reconstruction, and Mike was under mice at the time. He was upset that the sign on the interstate basically said, this area is closed. So his business fell off, even though the bridge was, you could go across the temporary bridge. So I think there's a lot of media pieces and just be aware of that. We might consider, if Rita's schedule allows, that maybe she could virtually attend a select board meeting as we get ready for the launch of the dig date. Okay, good, Martin, back to you.
ARPA update, the third quarter of the current fiscal year just came to an end on March 31st. The finance office will transfer the final ARPA funds to the general fund.
When you say final,
There's 228 or 9,000 left in the ARPA fund.
and is that all getting transferred now? Do we
That will be
move to
transferred.
quarter?
No, that'll be transferred now, so we'll have nothing for the fourth quarter. So it'll be completely transferred. And the finance office has a report due to the federal government by April 30th of this year, which we will have done before April 30th. Delinquent tax update, the current delinquencies are just under 100, it says 175 on there, it's now under 160,000. It's coming really well for the month of March. So we're moving along on that as it goes.
Is that a good number? Is that a high number?
I was surprised at how high it was, but it's dropped faster than it has in the past. So we're probably 10-15% below where we were last year at this time. As you drive in the rec department, on the left is the basketball court. There's a fence up between the house and the basketball court that has blown down. John and I are going to meet with Ross Gilbert tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and he's going to look at it and give us a quote what it would cost to fix it. We asked the highway department if they could do it. April is a very busy month for the highway department, between, you never know if it's going to snow, mud season, tailgating the roads to put some hard pack down, so they declined it. So this gentleman is a Hartland resident. His children go to the after school program. So I reached out to John to who we could get to do it, and he asked him if he would take a look at it. We'll let you know how that goes. And that's all I got for the manager's update.
I'd like to add an item to the manager's notes. I was just checking dates. I believe it was on Friday, the 24th, that Hartland officially filed with the help of Two Rivers a request for a congressionally designated fund, set of monies from Senator Welsh. It's a long shot to get it. We would have to designate the use of the funds in September of 24. The project we described in the request was for the community center, aka known as the recreation center. And I just wanted to make folks aware that that was a collaborative work that we did against a number of people to get that request done. There are two pieces.
One quick question, I'm sorry to keep doing this. I'm an avid tennis player, so you know, as is Mr. Stropolino. The fence on the east side, yeah, the east facing fence is totally inadequate. It's this high. I can't tell you how many walls go over there, you know? If somebody's doing the fencing, is it possible to see if we could raise that fence a
I'd
bit?
like to make a motion that we get David some tennis lessons.
I'll second
I just became deaf, but what was that?
It's probably just as well. You didn't hear,
Well, I'm not the only one complaining, but people think I have
Yeah.
a voice,
um,
because I live across the
So
street.
you're talking about the woven wire fence around?
On the tennis court,
Yes.
not the side facing the rec building, but the other side of it. It's only the sides.
Okay,
And a lot of balls, I don't know if the neighbors have complained, but
yeah.
certainly the tennis players have complained. And if it took even a net, I'd be willing to volunteer help. I'm sure that some number of the other regular tennis players would too. I mean, it would probably be nothing more than netting.
Rather be something like they used to have up the golf course and.
That's right, yeah.
And wouldn't have to be quite so tall.
No, if you have an inept backhand, it's gonna go over the bush.
Excuse me.
Yeah, that is executive session.
Tom's bringing to my attention that we should, I think, publicly state that our town manager is on a leave of absence. I don't think we've stated that publicly. Okay, there I did it. Okay, we have two pieces of correspondence. I think one is from Green Mountain Horse Association about the number of events that touch or go through the Heartland. I don't believe there's any action. It's just an FYI, and the letter also talks about we'll follow up as the dates get closer. Any comments, questions?
I didn't see it, but
That
it doesn't
wasn't,
sound like.
that wasn't in the packet.
Oh,
No, it came in the mail on,
Oh, it's for the lights.
yeah,
This is just our information.
yeah, that was in, yes.
The second piece of correspondence is from Marcy Chong, who's across the way in property management property. And it's a thank you note, which is nice to get after the controversy of the last few weeks. So, I'm going to put it up on my wall, and thank you, and here for your comments.
Okay, so can I just make a suggestion that we post that on the website?
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, sorry, that's-
Yeah, that,
Jimmy, too.
I don't have any shot with that.
Okay. Future agenda items include the rules and procedure that we postponed to this week. Follow up on the North Hartland school lease, and get going on the policing discussion that we talked about tonight. Okay.
We get an update on what's happening with the radio as well.
Sure, absolutely. If we were gonna run, what's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, there are no other items, and I will take a motion to adjourn and a motion to move into
So
executive
I think
session.
we have to move into executive session with Jerry, return.
Come out.
If you go into executive session first, and then when we come out, then we can adjourn.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion that we enter executive session pursuant to 1 VSA 313A3 to discuss personnel matters and employee evaluations.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you, everyone.